There's a couple of things I want to address in today's video. Thing one, I'm going to look at the moon landing hoax, because only an idiot would think it was a hoax. And the second thing I'm going to look at is as a result of some comments I've been getting. I've been getting comments from people asking me, what business is it of mine? Who believes in what conspiracy? How does it affect me? Why do I care?
Hey, what's up you guys? Yes, today is another time for some conspiracy theories.
Shane Dawson is a very, very successful YouTuber with 21 million subscribers, many of whom are young, impressionable people. And that's why I care. Because where's his sense of responsibility? Doesn't he understand that certain things he says will directly influence young people and create a society of morons? So let's have a look at Shane Dawson and his take on the moon landing conspiracy.
So today we're going to be talking about one of the most famous conspiracy theories there is. I've been obsessed with this one since I was a kid. It really is kind of what got me into conspiracy theories in the first place. And that is the theory that we never landed on the moon. It was all fake.
Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Creaky Weekly. New light because everyone was complaining my videos were getting too dark. Sorry, what can I say? Anyway, if it's your first time here, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on bell notifications for more content like this, even though you haven't seen what this is going to be yet. So today, like I said, I want to take a look at Shane Dawson and his take on the moon landing conspiracy, which has been debunked a squadillion times already. But yeah, we're going to have a look at it anyway, just because, okay?
So as we know it, Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong landed on the moon for the first time in 1969. And the whole thing was televised so all of America could see. But because it was televised, a lot of people started noticing things that didn't quite make sense. And that's how the conspiracy theories started.
Before we go too far, let's rewind a little bit. What is a conspiracy theory? A conspiracy theory is a belief that a covert but influential organization is responsible for an unexplained event. But the moon landing isn't unexplained. It's exactly what it says it is. We landed on the moon, Mr. Dawson.
So why would the moon landing be fake? So back in the day, America really wanted to get to the moon first. They wanted to beat all the other countries. But technically, they didn't really have the technology to quite do that yet. So instead, they created it on a soundstage and they filmed it. And they were like, hey, guess what? We were here first.
Did people go to the moon in 1969? I'm not totally sure. I wasn't on the moon then. Did they fake going to the moon? No, I'm pretty sure they didn't, because they couldn't. Some people say that in 1969 people were incapable of sending a man to the moon, but that they were capable of staging the whole thing in a TV studio. In fact, the opposite is true. By the late 1960s, they did have the technical ability, not to mention the requisite madness, to send 3 guys to the moon and back. They did not have the technology to fake it on video.
So that's writer and director S.G. Williams of post-war media. He's a film producer, filmmaker that proves in this video that it is absolutely impossible that they faked the moon landing, because they just simply didn't have the technology to do it. But as he says, however, they did have the technology to send a man to the moon, which is exactly what they did.
Number one, when they put the American flag in the moon, the flag started waving. But on the moon, there's no air in the atmosphere, so there's no wind. So technically, the flag would not fucking wave, but it was waving as if there was air. Check it out. Hello? That was fucking air, that was wind, that was an air conditioner from the set.
Hello, don't be a spaz, it wasn't waving. The reason there was movement in the flag is if you look closely at the flag itself, there's a rod running across the top like a curtain pole, and the movement in the flag, which we could all see, is when the flag was being planted in the ground. Now the reason the flag was moving is actually because there's no wind, because when you place the flag in the ground, the movement caused by it hanging from above and at the side did cause movement in the flag. Nobody's saying the flag didn't move, but it certainly wasn't caused by wind, because there is no wind on the moon.
No bitch, it was waving.
No bitch, it wasn't.
But that's not the only piece of evidence, there's a lot more. Number 2, where the fuck are the stars? If you're standing on the moon and you're in the middle of outer space, wouldn't you be fucking surrounded by stars?
You're quite right, Shane, you would be surrounded by stars if you were stood on the moon. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the camera used to capture the images would be able to capture the stars.
I mean, shit, when you're in LA and there's like no smog that day, or when you're in New York and all the lights go out, you look up in the sky and you see stars. And those are in overly populated, smoggy areas. If you're in fucking outer space, you should literally be in the #1 place to see stars. Not total blackness, which is what you saw. Just look at the footage again, no stars. I don't know, to me that looks like a soundstage with like a big black curtain, but whatever.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, Shane Dawson. And you call yourself a YouTuber and videographer. You do realise there's something on a camera called the exposure setting. Now basically the moon's surface and the astronaut suits were reflective. So if they had set the exposure to capture the stars, then the astronauts would have been completely blown out. They would have been so blurry you wouldn't have been able to see it, and then that would have been wrong as well. So they set the exposure on the camera so that they could capture the images of the astronauts on the moon, which were the important images, nice and clearly and crisply. And because they did that, you then couldn't see the stars in the background. So there was no big black curtain. It was just down to the settings on the camera. Shane, you're really not doing yourselves any favour in this video. You're just making yourself look really, really stupid.
Number 3, the Sea Rock. Now the Sea Rock is famous because it is a rock that was in a picture of the moon landing, and there's a sea carved in it. Now if this was just a random rock in outer space, there would not be a perfectly carved or written sea, unless there was aliens there and they randomly had a Sharpie and they were like, ooh, let me tag this. But what a lot of people think is that it was actually a prop, you know, just like you'd see on a movie set. And they lettered them and numbered all the rocks to make sure they were in the right place. So like the Sea Rock goes over the sea. Well, a set decorator must have accidentally forgot to turn the rock upside down, and that's why you can see the sea.
And the explanation for any normal person and somebody who isn't a complete spanner like Shane Dawson is that it was most likely a photographic glitch or a stray hair that found its way onto the film during the developing process. Or another theory, and this could be a hoax in itself, is that somebody has deliberately, after the event, doctored the photo and added a letter C in it to try and further discredit the moon landing as being the real historical event that it was.
But the rock wasn't the only thing that people saw that made them think it was a movie set. If you look really closely in the reflection of one of the astronauts' helmet, you can see a stage light hanging in front of him. Yeah, that's not a spaceship, that's not some UFO or an alien shuttle, that's a stage light. And back in the 60s, they didn't have the technology to like CGI it out, you know, like they were literally probably on just some shitty soundstage and just like trying to make shit look real.
Shane, do you ever watch your videos back? Did you hear what you just said? Let me play it for you again.
And back in the 60s, they didn't have the technology to like CGI it out.
So back in the 60s, they didn't have the technology to CGI it out. And by the way, it's not a stage light, it's just a reflection. Let's hear that one more time so we can grasp it.
And back in the 60s, they didn't have the technology to like CGI it out.
So in the 60s, they didn't have the technology to CGI out a reflection in the astronaut's helmet, but they had the technology to fake the entire moon landing. What an absolute tool.
CGI it out, CGI it out, CGI it out.
Oh, dear me.
Speaking of stage lights, there's another piece of evidence that involves them. Now, if you're on the moon, the sun is like literally directly hitting you. So that would make every shadow go a certain way. For example, the light is hitting me right here, right? So my shadow is going behind me, my hand shadow is going behind me. But if there was a light up here and this light, it would make some shadows go behind me and some go in front of me. It would just make all the shadows go everywhere. Well, that's what started happening during the moon landing. Look at these pictures. The shadows are going in all different ways, which means they're not coming from the sun. They're coming from lights, lights, lights everywhere. Ugh, it's so creepy to think about. Just imagine like you're in the 60s, you're so excited, everybody's huddled around the TV, you're watching what you think is somebody landing on the moon for the first time and putting the flag in, and then years later you find out none of it was real. It was all bullshit. Once again, it's a theory. I don't want to get sued or put in jail.
But what about getting made fun of? Is that acceptable?
And the last piece of evidence is what really creeps me out just thinking about it. So obviously if this was a set and it wasn't real, then they must have been on wires and they, weren't really anti-gravity, they were just pretending. Well, some of the footage of the moon landing and other moon landings has been looked at and people are claiming that they can see the wires. Take a look. I don't know. It just creeps me out so much. And it's not a shock because the government fakes so much shit.
But what are you pointing at? Can you see my wires? I'm pointing at them, so they must be there. What about now, from this angle? Look, I'm still having them pointed at. Can you see them now? There's nothing there. This is just a perfect example of people seeing something when it isn't there, or only seeing what they want to see, which would embellish this even further as a conspiracy, which it just isn't. It was a huge, huge achievement, and it just so happened that America were the first ones to do it. So why, and for what possible reason, apart from wanting to be first, just grow up. Just quit with the pseudoscience to explain skepticism and grow up. There's no conspiracy apart from where you want to put it. There were men on the moon. Just get a grip. But I will say, I do agree with you about governments. Governments do lie to people all the time. Whether it's because they want to, have to, or need to is a completely different discussion. But that is one point I will agree with you on. Shane Dawson.
I mean, we've talked about, 9/11, we've talked about crisis actors. Why wouldn't the moon landing be fake? Why wouldn't we fake that just to win over other countries? It makes you wonder, have we ever actually been to the moon? What if the moon is a hologram? What if it's not real? Who the fuck knows? Ooh! What if the moon is a hologram and is controlled by the aliens? Stay with me. And the aliens are like, fuck, people are figuring out it's a hologram. Hey guys, you need to make it look like you landed on the moon. We'll help you out. Here's some money, go get a sound studio. Maybe the aliens are in control of all of it. I don't know, that's a little crazy. Not as crazy as the theory that the moon is empty and aliens actually live inside of it, or the theory that all the members of the Illuminati also live inside of the moon and they're watching Earth from like big monitors. Those are a little crazy. The moon landing being fake, kind of believe it.
So I left that little section in just to kind of illustrate that Shane Dawson is very gullible. And the reason the American government and NASA wouldn't fake the moon landing just to be the first ones that were there is because they're not 5-year-old children. As I said, grow up. Right, thank you very much everyone for making it all the way to the end of another episode of Creaky Weekly. I've been the Creaky Blinder. Apologies that this video is a little bit shorter than usual, but I'm just really busy at the moment. I'm getting very, very close to 5,000 subscribers as well, so once I hit 5k, which will hopefully be today, maybe tomorrow, I will try and come up with something special to celebrate it. And one of my subscribers has sent me a gift to mark the occasion as well. So I will most likely, hopefully, be able to show you that in Friday's video. Thank you very much for watching as always, and I will see you on Friday for Flat Lad Friday. Take care, guys. Bye.